Hello everyone, Mariette here from Inner Connection. I want to share with you some of the concepts of the next training that I will be doing today with my participants on my online conscious parenting course called From Havoc to Harmony at Home. Today we're going to go down the rabbit hole a little bit deeper. We're really going to look at behavior as a pure symptom. That's right, even though I'm a behavior therapist, there isn't such a thing as a behavior problem. There is a problem, and the problem is the cause of the behavior. So of course we've looked into hereditary patterns as a cause, and shocks and traumas on our timeline can also lead to behavior symptoms. And when our energy systems are low on energy, we also see behavior as a symptom manifest. So we already know that we are working on those three levels. Today I'm going to investigate three other levels with you. On the first level, we're going to look at how attention and impulse affect behavior. So when we have inconsistent attention and we have weak impulse control, then we naturally are going to have behavior as a symptom. So tomorrow's training will focus on the fact that we can improve the attention and we can improve the impulse control, and then the behavior will come down automatically. So we're not going after the behavior symptom directly because the behavior symptom is just a message. So this is the same as if we would have a fever. And when we have a fever, the fever is not the disease. The fever is a symptom. So the fever is saying, yes, there is a disease. And the disease is a dynamic and energetic disturbance, expressing on the surface as a fever. In fact, it is the body's first and preferred way to respond to any toxin or pathogen. It is to raise the temperature of the body and to burn that invader. So in this way, the fever is actually protecting us. And so what we want to do is support the body in its effort to eliminate what is bothering it. Whether it wants to burn it through a fever, we'll support the fever. If the body wants to wash it away with mucus, we will support the mucus. If the body wants to get rid of it from the gut, we will support the diarrhea and the vomiting. We're not going to suppress it straight away. We are going to support these processes, because Mother Nature is also a bit crude and we don't want to just leave things in our hands, but at the same time, we have to rely on nature's wisdom. So when we get to behavior symptoms, we can look at it in exactly the same way. It's kind of an elimination symptom of some kind, and we want to take the edge off the behavior, yes. We want to alleviate and support the behavior, yes, but we are not going to mistake the behavior for the problem. We are going to say what caused this symptom, and we're going to go after the cause, and it's going to make things better. For example, improve attention, improve impulse control, and the behavior improves. On another level, we are also going to look at what happens a little bit deeper in terms of how the mind works, in terms of the actual neurobiological functioning of the brain. So we can have an understimulated mind state, for example, when our mind is not using enough of the energy source available to it, which is a type of glucose. When we break our food down to access the energy, your brain really is reliant on a lot of this energy, and some parts of the brain in some individuals, especially the parts that regulate attention and impulse control, sometimes in some people, they use less of the energy source. That means that the brain is actually understimulated. In the first phase of the understimulated mind state, you might see this. I call it the TV phase. So it's kind of a staring, zoning out, breaking contact with the moment, daydreaming. And a lot of the time, girls can get stuck in this first phase, and often they end up with a diagnosis like ADD. So ADD is just describing this attention deficit where children are disconnecting from the environment in this understimulated mind state. Now, what happens after the first phase is, you know, when we feel bored and we're saying, oh, I'm so bored, that's one thing. But for some children, boredom is extremely uncomfortable. So they'll rather pull their hair out and get into trouble than just sit there and be bored, because for them it's not the way we are bored. Let's look for something to eat, let's look for something to do. No, this is neurobiologically unbearable for them. So what they will do when they feel bored, understimulated, is they will start to do things to stimulate themselves, and naturally they will use behavior. They might get up, they might walk around, they might shout out, they might fidget, they might start chatting to their friend, and they might also say no to you, because when they say no to you, you will need to negotiate with them, and when you negotiate with them, they're going to get so much stimulation in the form of this negotiation from you that it stimulates their system, and then they start the activity. Of course, we want them to be energetically independent, so we don't want them to get stuck here. So when children really rely on the second phase, they are using behavior to stimulate their system, and this can quickly escalate to, kind of hyperactive behavior. And so children with the ADHD label will often fall into this category. Then on the third level, we are looking at energetic exchange. We know that we're not just a physical body, but that we're also energy systems, and through our relationship, the bond and the connection, the stronger it is, the more we are also plugged into our internal source of power, our consciousness, our awareness, the more powerful we become in exchanging energy with others, and also conscious in how we are managing the energy exchange. So usually when children are misbehaving and we overreact to that, we're doing the same thing too. We're just unconscious in that moment, so we feel triggered by their behavior, so we're putting a lot of energy into it, trying to get them to comply, and we want them to control, and we want them to listen to us, because then when we feel in control, then we feel safe, then we can relax. But what we want to do is rather get them to be more independent energetically and make good choices, and when they make choices that are poor, they will have consequences. They'll learn from those consequences, and they evolve as human beings. And so everything that we are going to tackle today will be on this line with regards to this information, where behavior is a symptom and we have a cause. The cause is on these other three levels, and we are going to address the cause to solve the behavior symptom. Tomorrow we really are addressing the causes, and today we are just delving into them deeper. So down the rabbit hole today, to move from havoc to harmony at home. Love and light, Mariette.